Welcome to the AI Fin News channel. The most relevant news and analysis from the world of finance and cryptocurrencies.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the AI Fin News channel. The past week has been relatively uneventful in the traditional market, with only minor movements. However, when it comes to Bitcoin, the situation is once again mixed. On one hand, Bitcoin is showing some movement, which is reflected positively in its price, reaching $27,000 instead of $25,000. On the other hand, a $1,000 difference is not insignificant, and it would be great to see more green numbers in the cryptocurrency market today, on Friday. The focal point of our attention is undoubtedly the speech by Powell shutdown from the United States. I provided information yesterday that some believe this could have a positive impact on the price of Bitcoin. Lo and behold, the closing of Bitcoin options and futures reached almost record highs. Well, at least in terms of options. But, unquestionably, the inflation statistics in the United States, preferred by the Federal Reserve System, FRS, as an indicator, also deserve attention. I doubt I can cover everything in one video. In the evening, there will be a second video where we may be looking at consumer inflation data in the United States against the backdrop of rising oil prices. Well, very interesting figures indeed. So, there you have it. My neural network has painted a Valkyrie for me, a character from Scandinavian mythology, a warrior who flies on a winged horse over the battlefield and decides which fallen warriors will enter the heavenly halls of Valhalla. In Valhalla, heroes gather and feast with the gods. In short, it's a kind of hall of fame where all heroes receive their recognition. Well, roughly speaking, the goodies have become available to the heroes. So, currently, the American Valkyrie has taken Ethereum. But you can't exactly call it heavenly halls, but it's close. Because, in no way, it's precisely associated with the concept of futures instruments that have the most significant moments in the cryptocurrency market. When it comes to Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF, that's what we're talking about. Valkyrie asset managers started buying Ethereum futures contracts after receiving approval to convert their existing Bitcoin ETF exchange-traded futures fund into an investment vehicle. Thus, they announced that they are starting to provide access to Ethereum futures contracts, making them the first American company to offer access to futures on the main altcoin, all on one platform with Bitcoin. Valkyrie became the first company to be allowed to create an ETF on Ethereum futures among other firms, since they complemented their project and updated the information on futures-related risks. This new fund strategy will take effect on October 3rd. The news is good for the market, but on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd rate it somewhere around a solid 7. It's good news, but not super top tier. Of course, it doesn't reach the level of significance as we can see that the cryptocurrency industry is evolving in financial markets. There's always a but. The SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, continues to suspend, or rather, extend the deadlines for final decisions on Bitcoin ETFs, both from BlackRock and Valkyrie. This is due to the government shutdown. These applications are supposed to be reviewed by October, but the SEC has decided not to drag it out and, apparently, won't miss these deadlines. And by the way, another company, Van Eck, will launch its Ethereum ETF on futures on October 2nd, and they've even started advertising it. Continuing the topic of derivatives, options, and futures, I remind you that the commodity exchange will close Bitcoin futures today. But we'll see the data, as always, on Sunday. As for options, at 11 a.m. Moscow time, roughly around the time this video is released, 118,000 Bitcoin options with a put/call ratio of 0.58 and a maximum strike price of $26,500 will be closed. The notional value of all these options is $3.2 billion. There's also an expected closure of similar Ethereum options for 1.11 million Ether with a put/call ratio of 0.46 and a maximum strike price of $1,650. Roughly speaking, yesterday's rise is likely related to the anticipation of Powell's speech. I've mentioned before that it's unlikely this gentleman will say anything new in a week. However, I left room for adjustments in his position because any Federal Reserve chair may not like the fact that the markets have been declining for quite some time. Additionally, the dollar index remains strong and causes headaches for the US government. I think you know why, but if not, I can hint that a strong national currency can create problems for the competitiveness of American goods. Now, let's take a look at what Powell actually said. The ability of the Federal Reserve to influence the economy depends on whether people understand what we are talking about, Chairman Jerome Powell stated, emphasizing the importance of the work done by economics educators. When Federal Reserve representatives release their forecasts for interest rates and economic growth, one of our goals is to influence decisions on spending and investment both today and in the coming months. However, this will only be possible if people understand what we are talking about and what it means for their own finances. You see the dollar index, and it's declining. This could mean that there are no reasons for weakness in the leading cryptocurrency, especially in the absence of significant negative news. It remains stable. But it's also worth noting that the traditional asset market also rose slightly earlier. You've seen how in this ecosystem of traditional asset markets, companies related to cryptocurrencies have also grown. The daily correlation was at its maximum. I think even those who don't speak English will understand what Bloomberg's headline means. It says that gasoline in California costs $6. This probably indicates that summer is over, but gasoline prices in California continue to rise. This even prompted the governor to lift the smog rule to ease the gasoline price situation. Today, the average price of regular gasoline in California is $6.03 per gallon, which is the highest level since October. This is nearly $2.20 per gallon higher than the national average. Information provided by the American Automobile Association shows that this is already the highest gasoline price level for this time of year. Gasoline prices are rising across the United States, and it's related to the increasing cost of oil. Typically, gasoline prices in California are higher than in other parts of the country, partially due to higher compliance costs with environmental standards, including carbon emission quotas, which fluctuate around 30 cents per gallon. This is one of the highest rates in the history of this program. However, in my opinion, this is more of a deception. All these taxes will most likely just increase the state budget because no one will consume less gasoline. Environmental concerns may not be so important here when gasoline prices are rising sharply. Thus, the fight for their seats continues. In the European Union, data on the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and the Personal Consumption Expenditures, PCE, price index will be published. However, these are likely to be some analogs of the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index in the United States. The Federal Reserve, in particular, relies on this indicator, aiming to achieve a 2% inflation rate. I'll add that data on the Consumer Inflation Expectations Index will also be published, which is important in light of gasoline prices. However, of course, the main focus is on the data that will be published at 15:30 Moscow time. Looking at the annual figures, this index is expected to decrease according to forecasts. But if we consider the monthly data, they are likely to increase. As for the price index for personal consumption expenditures, which does not include gasoline or electricity, it is expected to remain at the same level. Some may argue that if gasoline and food are not included in this index, what's the point? However, I want to emphasize that the hidden impact of energy prices may already be beginning to affect prices in other categories of goods and services included in this index. How significant this impact really is, we will find out when these data are published. At the moment, I do not predict significant market fluctuations when this data is released, as the situation is not as critical as in periods when the fight against inflation was more relevant. However, it is important to monitor what happens with these indices, as it can provide us with insights into market sentiment in the near term.
Please click on the bell so you don't miss out on new videos, because there will be more to come. Bye bye.